Welcome, everyone, to episode 36 of the Fast and Fabulous podcast. I have here April Hall. April, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Super excited to have April on. April is a seasoned faster. So I always love to have a seasoned faster on. And when I say seasoned, you've been fasting and you lost weight and have been maintaining weight over almost 4 years. Am I right?
I think I'm about at 3.5,
Okay.
something like that. Yeah.
But you've been you maintained through all of life's ups and downs. So I love to hear your backstory and your perspective. And we're going to go through some great topics. So April, I want to always ask the first question. The first question is always the same. How did you discover the clean fast and when was that?
Okay. So May of 2020, um, I just happened to be on Facebook, and a good friend of mine had posted a picture of a bottle of strawberry salad dressing. But the caption said, "I'm going to break my 20-hour fast with this salad dressing." And so it was nothing more than, I'm like, what is she talking about? And I have all the history of doing every diet. I was a lifelong yo-yo dieter. My entire adult life, once I had kids, was lose 25 pounds, gain back 27, wait about 18 months until I had the willpower to do it again. And then there went the roller coaster. But so I had done all the diets, and I actually, at that time, I was at probably my all-time high weight, and I had been following a lady on Facebook who was into intuitive eating, and she was very love your body, love yourself. You'll know when you're really hungry, just nourish your body. And she was more into strength training and things, and like she had a beautiful body, but she was getting away from maybe trying to be thin, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I loved that. So she had this beautiful physique, and she was nourishing her body, and she was exercising, and she did tutorials and things. But it got me in this mindset of, I don't have to diet ever again. I can just love myself exactly like I am. But long story short, that's not really my personality. Like, if I have things, I'm a fixer. So even with my own self, if I see areas where I can improve, then I'm very motivated to do that always. So I just get my friend on Snapchat, and I said, "What are you doing? Like, 20-hour fast, tell me what's going on." And she gave me the best advice. She said, "Read the book." And at that time, Delay Don't Deny by Jen Stevens was the only one out. But she said, "You're going to fast clean." And immediately when she said, "You're going to fast clean," I heard, "You're going to eat clean." And I was like, I'm out. I
Yeah.
had tried, I had done Beachbody, I had done all the things. So I had done the try to eat clean and read every label, and that, that I don't have time for that. And she said, "No, no, no, I'm not talking about food." She said, "You are going to fast clean." And so she gave me the basics, like, you're going to do black coffee, I'm out. You're going to do unsweetened tea, no flavor, I'm out. Just water, not my favorite at the time, probably. And she said, "Plain sparkling water," and I gagged. I was like, no.
Ugh.
And those are my options. So she said, "Okay, read the book." She said, "Get the book." And she gave me great advice. She said, "If you don't have Audible, you can download it. You'll get a free trial." And at that time, you got 3 free books. So by the next morning in my Audible, I had Delay Don't Deny. I set out on a walk, put my AirPods in, and, I fell in love with Jen instantly.
Oh, it's so easy to, right?
Right.
Because she writes in a way that just really appeals to it. It talks to everyone. It's not just like we love Dr. Fung, of course, but it's very sciency when you read Dr. Fung, and when you read
Yes.
Jin's books, it really is just so relatable, and it really is in a way she speaks like a teacher, and it's in a way we can understand and all like kind of go, okay, what's going on? And so when you read Delay Don't Deny, I have to ask, did you have like this light bulb kind of moment?
Absolutely. I can
Yeah.
almost remember where I was on the walking trail here at our
Yeah.
park, when I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is my soul sister. She is telling my story." And when she talked about all diets work and no diets work, I was just like mind blown. And that was the truth. I could always lose about 20, 25 pounds fast, like in about 3 months, but I never kept the weight off for any amount of time. And so it worked and it didn't work.
Right.
And as I heard her story, I just thought, if she can do this, it was like talking to your girlfriend. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, this sounds so simple. And so, I started my first clean fast that day, and the rest is history.
Never looked back.
never look back. I have
Girl.
not had one day where I did not fast in 3.5 years since May of 2020. And people say, well, that can't be true. Well, it is true because we sleep, so long fast, short fast. I probably haven't had a fast shorter than 12 hours. And people say that's incredible willpower, but I'm like, you guys don't get it yet. It has nothing to do with willpower. It The hormones in my body have been corrected, and I know when I need to eat and when I can wait. And like I said, I tell everybody it's black magic. I'm still not exactly sure how it happens, but if you will start and you will give it a fair shot, I just feel like once the body adapts, I mean, what holds us back then? Just ourselves, our mind, but it gets past willpower. And every other diet, like I said, after 3 months, I was going to see how fast I could gain it back.
It's a roller coaster. I was on the same one. You lose some weight, then you gain it back, and you lose it again, gain it back. But this just made sense, and it was basically made sense because, like you said, it was sustainable. It was something you could do every day. And when somebody asks you, how the hell have you fasted every single day for the past 3.5 years? That's crazy. I mean, I gotta say, it really isn't. I totally, totally agree with you. It's not about like dedication or like, being super motivated. It's really just about having like an absolute discipline. If you make it part of your discipline, you make it part of your habit. It's just what you do every day. And like life has its ups and downs. So like let's talk about that. You've been in maintenance for a long time. And so
Right.
people kind of think when they go into intermittent fasting with the diet mind, because it takes a while to shed that diet mind, that when you reach your goal weight, you're just going to stop fasting and everything will go back to normal. So let's talk about maintenance. So when you were losing weight, you did, gonna just assume a longer fast every day. And now you've probably reined it in. But how did you get through the days that were like really hard? Because I'm sure like life happens, you get sick, you have kids that are sick, there's deaths in the family and all this stuff that could happen in 3.5 years. So what did you do with your fasting and your feasting in those really, really hard, stressful times?
Okay, so May of 2020, we were smack dab in the middle of the pandemic when I decided I'm going to change my lifestyle and I'm not going to eat for 20 hours a day. So um, I really feel like during that time, so I own a restaurant and we were considered, you know, we got to work the entire
Yes.
time. We had to get
Yes.
up and go to work. And that was a
Mhm.
little bit unfair because we watched our friends sit home. That's terrible. But I really did feel like it was one thing that I could control during the pandemic. And I've heard other people say that, but
Yeah.
like I'm a little bit of a control freak. And every day we would get the health department would send us new guidelines. So like I basically had to retrain my staff every day. Today we can only do carry out, or today we can let people eat inside, but they have to use throwaway silverware, or you can't have the salt and pepper shakers on the table. It was just something every day we were getting,
Right.
But I really did. I felt like this is one thing that like nobody else gets to tell me how to do or what to do. So I was 24 while I was losing weight. And so I lost 45 pounds in 5 months, which,
Whoa.
yeah, which is ridiculously fast. And it's one of those disclaimers, results are not typical. But I
Yeah.
went from 171.5 pounds to 126.5 from May
Wow.
to September of
That's
2020.
probably the fastest I've ever heard somebody shed the weight. That's
And
incredible.
it was very shocking to people. So
Yeah.
like people wanted to know if I was sick.
Oh my.
Um, but basically, I burned up all my fat stores, and I find it unfair. Different bodies respond differently, but mine was ready for the fasting, and so once I got into the ketosis thing, 20 and 4, and I did it 7 days a week. Now,
Okay.
again, control freak.
Yeah.
If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. So
Mhm.
obviously now I have relaxed a little,
Okay.
but I still follow 20 and 4
Okay.
weekdays.
Hmm.
And then my weekends, I said get sideways sometimes. I have
Yeah.
some pretty long windows, but I am ADHD. I'm a very hyperactive person, and I spoke with Jen on her podcast about this, that food calms me down. So the difference now is I have an early window. I eat from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. during the week, and that works the best for me because of my work schedule, um, and things like that. But it also gets my eating out of the way. And people are like, that sounds insane because we look so forward to dinner with our family and we look, but my schedule is I'm very busy even in the evening until I get home from work about 8:30 at night. And then like I have a routine. I'm going to sit with a glass of sparkling water. I'm going to get in the hot tub for 15 minutes. I'm going to have a shower and I go to bed early. And so once I call it calm the beast, tame the beast. I've had food and my body and brain knows it's been fed. I can mark that off the to-do list for the day. And so by 2 p.m., I'm finished with food for the day and I can get all these other things done. So, working a restaurant, I work 2 shifts a day. So that night shift is just go, go, go. And
Right.
food doesn't cross it's not on my radar. But as far as having like emotional things, I think that fasting has literally been counseling to my mind that food won't fix it. And so it's not my first instinct anymore to grab a bag of Cheetos and 4 Fudge Pops and a whole sleeve of Oreos. And, that is the way I'm medicated.
Right.
But I really don't do that anymore. And one of my preaching, I have a little platform on Facebook. And one of the major things I talk to people about is self care. So I'm a mother of 5. I have 2
Wow.
stepsons and 3 of my own, ages 18 to 25.
Bless your heart. Good
And
Lord.
yes, parenting adults is much harder than parenting little children, I
Ugh,
think.
you're
But
scaring me, lady.
I make time for me. And that sounds selfish. And of course, now my baby left for college. So now I have all this me time. I'm back in college myself and whatever. But like I have always gotten up early if I wanted to go walk. I'm going to make it happen. Um, I'm going to schedule myself a massage about once a month. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to spend that money on that because I need it. Um, delicious food. That's one way people give themselves, you take care of yourself, but it's not indulgence. It's self-care. If you take time to prepare nutritious food for yourself, the things you want, even if your family doesn't like it, like that's not what they want for dinner, that's self-care if you go ahead and make yourself a sweet potato and steamed broccoli and grilled chicken breast that you want. And you can still make them, but I'm saying I am not going to eat chicken nuggets and macaroni and cheese because they need it or want it. So those are the things, like I said, go for a walk. I talk about, I'm a Christian. I don't necessarily buy into meditation, but like time for prayer, time for me. We have a hot tub that we bought a few months ago. Oh my goodness. So
Girl,
that's my
that's so
unwind.
amazing.
But you walk on the ground outside, just walk around looking at particularly nothing, but make some time for you because if you take care of yourself like that, you will learn to manage stress without food.
Oh,
And I
I
really
love
believe that.
that. I
So
love that.
self-care is a huge part of our health. And I said, I understand. I remember being the mother of 3 babies, and it is never about you. And I have young friends who say, I've tried to do the fasting. I just cannot. I'm always making a grilled cheese. I'm always making chicken nuggets. We're going through the drive through. We're doing all these things. And this is the grace I give them. It will not be this way forever. You are in a stage of life. This too shall pass. And at some point, it is going to be your turn to take care of yourself. So maybe that is the unfair advantage. 45 years old, all of my kids are grown and they're either on their own or in college. And it is finally my turn to do what makes me feel good.
That's amazing. And the self-care is so, so important because if your cortisol is up, we know you're not going to lose weight very quickly. You might not lose weight at all. You might just hit a wall
Right.
because of how stressed you are. So self-care is very important. And it's not just about going to get massages or pedicures or something like that. You could be as simple as taking a walk. Like you said, preparing yourself something healthier than you're preparing for your children. Maybe you have small children. Again, a phase in life. A
Right.
phase in life. I started fasting when my kids were very small. And so I can relate to that. And I'm so glad that you have that know how to tell a younger mother, this too shall pass. It's going to get different. it's not going to get easier. It
No,
never does. It just gets different. And it's
that's
not
it.
always about, the kids, the kids, the kids. It kind of is. But when you learn to put yourself first and you learn to do that, the fasting will come naturally after a while because you
When
look
you
at it as self-care.
when you take care of yourself though, then you are more able to take care of others. And even like being in the restaurant business, that is a service industry, and I feel like what I do is a ministry and a service to my community. I do. And so,
100%.
but if I am in a bad, nobody can function optimally if they are in a bad place themselves, a bad headspace, a bad physical space. If you feel bad, you can't contribute what you need to your community, your family, your spouse, whatever. So I am 100% pro take care of yourself.
I love that. I love that. Self-care, especially if you're listening and you're a young mother with young children, fasting is a form of self-care. And you need to take care of yourself in order to be able to take care of your children, your family. Let's face it, if the mama goes down, everybody goes down. That's what I
Our
always
ship
say.
is sunk.
The
That's our
ship
thing.
is
The ship is
sinking.
sunk. That's
Right.
it.
It's the ultimate form of self-care to lose excess weight, to gain your health back. And let's face it, you're having more energy, you have more confidence. It's just a beautiful thing. So I want to go back and kind of dive into something that you mentioned before. You mentioned you have an earlier window, and I love talking about earlier windows because we don't talk about it enough. And
Right.
people think that they have to, if they're doing like a 24 pattern or something like that, that they have to wait till 4 or 5 o'clock or whatever time they would eat dinner to eat with their families. And I understand some people just can't let that go. However,
Right.
if you have the schedule like you do, where it's more convenient to have an earlier window, you function better the rest of the day, give it a try because it is a real game changer. Can
Game
you tell
changer.
me about because I'm going to go ahead and assume that it wasn't always that way. Is that
Right.
right? Tell
Right.
me how that changed.
Well, okay, so I tried, and I told Jen this, I heard her say she ate dinner, so I thought dinner is the window. And I laughed and said that my family requested that I eat because I was so ill and grouchy by the time dinner came. And I thought about eating all day long. And so I do have that overactive, kind of obsessive compulsive brain. And once I thought about eating, that's what I thought about all day long, and so you're watching the clock and you're counting minutes and seconds and all that. I could not do that, and I could not do my job with my mind somewhere else. So, I don't even know, it was probably a month in that I was like, "I'm gonna eat kind of like a late breakfast brunch, and then I'm gonna eat my big meal when we close after lunch, and that's gonna be it for today." And I was so calmed by it and so satisfied by it that it became my routine. Now, on weekends, I'm a lot more flexible. So I usually get that longest fast in probably on Saturday, from Friday to Saturday, because I'll eat at 2 on Friday. And then Saturday, if my husband says we're going to go out to dinner, then I can push it until 5 or 6 or whatever I need to do.
Mhm.
Or if I'm hungry, I can eat breakfast with him at 7 a.m. It becomes the shortest fast of the week. But on a consistent basis. We're open Tuesday through Friday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm going to eat 10 to 2. That's what I'm going to do. And some days I am strictly a one meal a day and done. Like when I eat at 10 o'clock, it might be a feast. Like could feed a small village. Um, I love eggs. So like boiled eggs, that's just almost every single day. Boiled eggs
Mhm.
and toast. I love raw nuts. And sometimes when I open, I have that instant response that says, "You're going to need to eat until you're finished eating." And
Right.
I'm 100% comfortable with that. Then if I need to eat again at 1:30, something small or whatever, I'll do that. But if I killed it from 10 to 11, then that suffices. And I'm honest when I say I'm not bothered by it the rest of the day. I call it taming the beast. When your mind knows you have been fed and nourished. Now, there are foods that will never tame the beast. That's what we talk about. They get aggravated at me because they said you caught us by saying we could eat whatever we wanted in our window. And now all you talk about is nourishment and nutrients and eating whole food. but that
Let's
was a
talk
learning
about it.
curve.
Yeah.
It was a learning curve,
Yeah.
right? So I started this because my friend said I could eat whatever I wanted in my little
Mm.
4 or 5 hour
Mhm.
window. And when I started, that's what I did. And it
Mm.
was a hot mess.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I've never been a vegetable lover. I used to only eat grilled chicken if I was doing a diet. That was the only time. And so if I was not dieting, I was not going into a restaurant and ordering grilled chicken because it reminded me of being on a diet.
Mm.
Now it's one of my favorite things in the world, you know? That's the way I
Right.
prefer it.
Yeah.
But I learned to love vegetables. I learned to crave vegetables. It's just a bizarre turn of events. But what I found is when you nourish your body, when it gets real food, it doesn't take as much for the brain to say, okay, I'm happy. I'm finished. You have given me what I need today, and I'm going to make it easily through my fast until tomorrow. Now, by the same token, if I open up with Mexican chips and salsa and cheese and flour tortillas and a whole lot of heavy oils and garbage in 2 hours, I'm going to be starving.
Of course. Yeah. So
So,
yeah, it's so important. I mean, like I can't like help but go back to what you said when people first start this. It's like the hook is, well, I could eat whatever I want, right? In my window. Well, I always tell people to start that way, but it's not
right.
going to end that way, right?
No, and that's where I call the black magic.
Yeah.
I said that was the hook that got me there, but then it wasn't very long until I'm like, why do I want to eat steak and broccoli every meal? Like, why am I dreaming about boiled eggs and tuna? I didn't like sweet potatoes, and I was like, I think a sweet potato sounds so amazing right now,
It really
and
does.
I went for it. You know, I'm like, my body has finally got a little bit of quiet time where it can say, April, this is what I need. You know, this is what I
Right.
want you to eat. And like I said, that's where I call the black magic. But if people will just start the clean fast, and if they need, I tell my new members all the time, if you need a reward meal that is not up to nutritional standards to get you through, okay, do that. But there is going to come a time when your body is going to speak up and say, listen, if we're going to only eat 4 hours a day, during those 4 hours, you've got to give me something. And I really believe that. I think fasting puts you in touch with those internal signals that maybe we never heard before. So
Yeah. 100%. I
I think if
mean,
they'll just clean fast, they will get there.
I think I say the same thing. All you have to do is be consistent with your clean fast every day. Nail the clean fast. Nail the clean fast. Your body will tell you, because if you're eating whatever you want in your window, if you think that's gonna work, fine, go for it. But your body will tell you what foods, what beverages aren't serving you,
That's it.
and
Yes.
then your body will start to crave stuff like sweet potatoes or steak, and you're just like, who the hell am I? Because like you, I hated sweet potatoes before.
Me
I have
too.
a list of stuff I didn't like before, and now I'm like, oh man, I really could use that right now. I
Right. Well, I mean,
crave.
when I start thinking Brussels sprouts look good, I'm like, this is it. I've gone too far.
You're like, who am I? Where have I
That's it.
gone?
Right. I mean, I own a Southern restaurant. My
Yeah.
parents owned one before me. I grew up on fried chicken fingers and fried catfish and French fries and cheeseburgers on a white bun, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That is the way we ate macaroni and cheese. My
Mm,
kids did not like anything green, and I blame myself. I said,
yeah.
I'm going to hopefully get a redo with grandchildren. We are going to eat all the green things. Um, I was that mother who thought parents who did not allow their children soda were meanies. I was her. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think anything was off limits to my kids. I have little home videos of their little selves pulling the big witch pot of candy after Halloween down, and they're having breakfast.
Oh
And
my
I'm
gosh.
like, I'm going to do better as a
Yeah.
grandmother than I did. But it's just being clueless. That's what I think it is.
It's also
So
hard too with kids, even when you do get healthy, like, and you do all the things and you're setting a good example, your kids can still be picky eaters. I mean, I just
yeah,
want to throw that out there.
I'm sure.
It's not going to be always perfect. My kids, they see the way I eat. Are they going to eat what I eat? Maybe
Yeah.
one day, I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, but I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I have one daughter who will eat anything. She will try any vegetable. I only have one daughter, actually. We have 4 boys and 1 girl. But she's not a picky eater and she loves good food. And so
Oh,
she's the one where if I made them spaghetti and I was eating grilled chicken and broccoli, she'd say, "I'm gonna eat with you." And
aw,
that's just her preference.
yeah.
But 2 of my sons, maybe some iceberg lettuce if you want to call that green, that they just do not eat vegetables. And I'm like, guys, at some point in your life, you're going to have to grow up your food choices just for
Mm,
nourishment. You can't get away with that's another thing, like I think I figured we would get to age a little bit. I am 3.5 years older than when I started this, and my
mm.
body is a little different and my hormones are a little different.
Oh, sure.
But we get to a stage where you have to think about those things. Like
Oh,
your
yeah.
body is not going to run efficiently on SpaghettiOs
No,
anymore. It's
no.
it's just not.
It's not. I think about all the stuff that I ate in my 20s, even when I was dieting and I would still lose weight. And it's unbelievable. It's actually unbelievable that I would even lose any weight eating, Taco Bell and stuff like that. It was just your metabolism changes, your hormones change over the years. And when you reach 40, I feel like things are a little bit different. Even in your late 30s, they could start to become different as a female. So let's talk about females since we are 2 females here sitting here
Yes.
talking. Um, as a menstruating female, because sorry, dudes, we menstruate, and I'm gonna say that.
It's a thing.
Menstruating females, there's been a lot of confusion out there from a book that was written. I'm not going to say what the name
And
of the
I read it.
book is. I think we all read it. A lot of people got confused, a lot of specifically females, obviously, because it was written towards females about what we should do in our fast around our hormonal cycles, ovulation and menses. So, what is your school of thought on that, and how do you navigate your high hormone days, as I like to call them, every month?
So I did read the book, and by that time, I was already probably 2.5 years into fasting, and I
Okay.
had fasted my 20 and 4, no matter what day of the month it was. I saw great results. I kept my weight off, whatever. So I love to read. I want to know all the things. There was a lot of hype surrounding this, so I read it and I tried it, and I'm pretty sure that's where I gained the 5 pounds I still have and haven't lost them. So, um, I don't agree with the week before your period being a free for all. I don't ever agree with thinking, let's just not fast. And the reason is because I never want to be thrown out of metabolic adaptation. Never. I love that the body goes in and out of fat burning as it pleases easily, no side effect. At this point, no side effects. Now, I still have things that allow me to know, like I still get metal mouth every day when I hit ketosis, which is
Me too.
annoying,
It's
so
gross.
annoying, right? But
Yeah.
then you're also like, yeah,
Yeah. Right.
So
Exactly. Yep.
that means, hey, we burn up all that extra fuel and now we're burning body fat. So,
Hmm.
but I have seen too many people on the slippery slope of just relaxing, relaxing, relaxing until now you've got to go all the way back through adaptation if you start being strict again. And it's hard. It has to be harder the next time. Too many people can't get back there. So I err on the side of caution. I
Yeah.
don't ever want to be like, I just don't fast during that. What I will say is I up my magnesium because I
Mm.
think that when my magnesium dips, that's when I have all the chocolate cravings.
Hmm.
I do the Celtic sea salt and pink Himalayan sea salt, and I will add a little more to my coffee. That's a trick I do for my black coffee, but I'll do a little more, and then I don't find myself thinking I have to have popcorn or I have to have potato chips or whatever. But honestly, I do eat more, I think, right before my
Oh, sure.
period.
Yeah.
But then as soon as I start, I could do a full fast. I could do 2 full day fasts. But,
Mm.
I think it's just about knowing yourself,
Yeah.
And so if you're a person who needs boundaries, and I'm a person who needs boundaries, it doesn't matter what day of the month it is for me. I am going to eat from 10 to 2 if it's Tuesday through Friday. And if it's the weekend, like I said, sometimes it gets a little bit sideways. But, I like as an aging lady, I am one of those people who always is skeptical of when people like I'm the was the young woman who watched women my age now struggling, gaining weight, and I would hear them say things like, "I haven't changed what I eat, but I've gained weight. I haven't changed what I do, but I gained weight." I was a skeptic because in my 20s and 30s, I was running 5Ks and 10Ks and doing all the things to fight the bulge, and I just thought they're not trying hard enough. But
Yeah.
so now, like I said, I for 2.5 years, I was 126 and a half, just almost any day I got on the scales. I lost 45 pounds. I kept it off. Well, now, like last November, I was 131 and a half. And Amy Joe, I don't know if you know Amy Joe. I
I
think
do
she's been
know. I
on.
love Amy
We
Joe.
love Amy Joe.
Hmm.
But, she's a good friend of mine. So I message her and I'm like, what is going on? The scale has jumped 5 pounds and I don't know what I did. I don't know what I changed. And so she's like, first of all, calm down, but she said, you've had all these stressful things in your life. We had built a new building for our business and we
Mm,
had moved our business and obviously all the things you have loss, you have job change. My kids
sure.
were growing up, my kids were in transition, they had
Yeah.
things going on. And she's like, it could just simply be that. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. But so then I start panicking and I do all the things. I did like a 3-day extended fast. I started doing a little bit of modified alternate daily fasting. I
Hmm.
started doing a mealless day a week.
Hmm.
And now it is October, almost a year later. I still weigh 131 and a half. It is, and I study after Jason Fung and he talks about your apostat and your set weight and all those things. And I'm like, well, right now, this is my set weight. And it doesn't seem to
Yeah.
matter what I do. So I've had some cycle changes. You
Mhm.
know, my cycle is really short one month and it might be really long the next month, and I'm like, oh gosh, why is it 35 days? And then I might start after 16 days. Why on earth did I start after 16 days? So I get that I have entered a new phase.
Yes, girl.
Perimenopause, I'm
Yes.
45. And so things may not react and do like I'm used to doing them. So what am I going to do? I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to fast. I'm going to feast. I'm going to repeat. I'm going to choose the best food that I can choose on the days I can. And I'm going to let the long end drag. That's what we say in Alabama. That
I love
means you do
that.
your best, you forget the
Mhm.
rest. And,
Yep.
but I have compassion and empathy now for those women that said, I didn't change anything. We can't control what we can't control. And so I think our best shot at being hormonally balanced is fasting,
Oh, me too.
eating whole food,
Mhm.
self care, keeping our cortisol levels as low as possible. And then beyond that, I feel like it's out of our control. So, if the scale wants to say 5 pounds more, I'm still in my same clothes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I started going through perimenopause in my late 30s. I'm 42 and I'll just be totally open. I just had an ablation because everything got so crazy down there and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it happened before it started happening before I even started fasting. So what I can say though is going back to the whole idea of stopping for the week of your cycle, I think that it's really, really, really difficult to wrap my head around because if we stop for a week every month, then you're right. We're going to have to reset
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to become metabolically unbalanced again. And
Right.
we're going to have to adjust. Our body will have to adjust to burning down that glucose and getting back to the fat stores. And so it's a lot of starting and stopping. And so I think a lot of women just gained weight from that and they don't really understand why. They think they're doing something good because,
A doctor.
a doctor wrote the book. And so anyways, my whole 2 cents on that is that, ladies, during the month, on the week of your cycle, just move, like adjust your window. Like if you have boundaries, like you said, where it's like you need to do 24 every single day, and that's what and that's what works for you. That's your sweet spot. Keep going, but in your windows, nourish yourself more. keep it going, because otherwise it's going to be starting and stopping and resetting
Right.
every single month. So yeah, I'm glad we talked about that. And fellas, now you can listen back again.
Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. I mean, we go through a lot as females, and y'all just live
That's
your
right.
lives, you know. I don't know what that is. But okay, let's talk about exercise, because you talked about, I just love exercise. I'm a huge fan of it. You said before, but when you were in your 20s, you were like running 5Ks and you were really into fitness. So where are you now with your fitness?
So cur- currently, I do really good to walk about 3 days a week,
Okay.
and that's so I went back to college. My youngest child started college. He moved away, and I was like, I'm gonna finish my bachelor's. I'm only 25 years into it. I'm just I'm gonna do this. And so between which is ambitious. So between
I think
owning
it's
my own
wonderful.
restaurant, owning my own business, and all my schoolwork, um, I'm lucky to get out to the park about 3 days a week.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I've done all the things, P90X, Insanity, which was in fact insanity.
I remember that
Um,
one. That was
yeah, I
insane.
did long distance running, and overall, like probably my favorite thing is just like lightweight training and the elliptical.
Yeah.
But I love to just walk. I mean, but that I work very hard at work. My job's very physical. I still do a lot of lifting. I mean, farmer carries, if you count, carrying 35 pounds of vegetable oil on each arm and
Oh
walking out to
yeah.
the big thing to throw them away.
It's very
I
physical.
Yes. So I'm on my feet all day, and we laugh and say we walk miles around the kitchen. We
You
built a
probably
huge
do.
kitchen. And so, I think that keeps me fit, but I no longer feel like if I don't exercise, I'm going to gain this weight back. And all those years I really believe, even though I enjoyed it, it was a mechanism to control my weight. And now it is, like I said, self-care, it is stress relief, it's my time to listen to a podcast,
Hmm.
just kind of disconnect for a minute, but I don't necessarily have a routine, an exercise routine
Okay. You don't feel
anymore.
that pressure that like you're gonna gain back all your weight if you just have a week off of exercising. I remember feeling that exact same way. Like, oh my gosh, got to get to the gym, otherwise I'm gonna gain a
Yes,
pound, and that's diet brain. And no thanks, we don't want that.
right.
So, I mean, I love that you just walk, because that's so simple. And to be honest, that's really all you need to do. You just need to move, whether it's walking around your job every day, if you have a physical
Right.
job, whether it's getting out to walk your dog, getting on the treadmill, whatever it is, moving is so, so important in some way. But fasting is wonderful, because if you have a week where you decide you can't move, or maybe you're hurt or feeling sick, you're not going to gain back a bunch of weight. In fact,
Right.
when I started working out, I gained weight at first a little bit because I was building muscle. So a lot of
Yeah.
people get thrown off by that. That's the trickiness of the scale. Speaking of
The
the
scale.
scale, let's talk about the scale. Are you a daily weigher? Are you an apps, like you don't go on the scale?
So I am, with obsessive compulsive brain, I weigh every day.
I thought you might.
And in my group, like I said, I preach, do as I say, not as I do. If you cannot handle it, if it absolutely destroys your mood for the day, what, why?
Yeah.
Like Amy Jo and I were talking. So
Mhm.
we were, and I'm not trying to share anything private, but we were just talking about whether or not she was going to weigh, and she hadn't in a while. And my
Mm.
husband says, who is never correct, okay, but he was correct. He said, why? He said, what will it change? And if it's just going to upset you, why? And
Yeah.
so, and that's what I said to her. I said, it will not propel you one way or the other. Whatever the scale says, Amy Jo's going to be an intermittent faster. She's
Yeah.
not going to resort to diet brain and go on some crash crazy diet if it says something she doesn't like, right? She's going to keep on doing the things that she knows works for her. And so if you're that kind of person, if it is going to upset you, I'm like, throw the scale in the garbage. Try on clothes,
Totally.
measure, whatever you need to do. But I'm obsessive compulsive. And so I even implemented this, like, don't weigh October or something, opt out October. I made
Mhm.
it 6 days, and I had to tell my group I made it 6 days. Look, best of luck for everybody in October, but I wish that the scale did not still have that call to me, but it's almost like getting a cup of coffee in the morning. I just do it.
If
Now,
it's
it does
part of
not
your
affect my
routine.
mood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does not affect my mood. I'm like, whatever. And
Right.
basically, I can wake up and look in the mirror and know what the scale will say. You
Right.
know, I know if I've had beer the night before, don't get on
Oh,
that. It's a bad idea. Or if
that's
I
a
had
bad idea.
pasta.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also know that on Monday morning, it is going to weigh the absolute most. And
No
by
way on
Friday or
Mondays.
Saturday, right, on Friday or Saturday, I'm going to be back to what I always am because, it's balance. Like I said, I feel like now that I do live in a balance, um, some days it's up, some days it's down. But I mean,
That's
like I
normal.
said, my clothes, yeah, I don't freak out about that.
Yeah.
When people tell me that they gain 2 pounds back, I'm like, come on,
Yeah.
2 bottles of water weighs
I
two
was gonna
pounds,
say
you know?
we go up and down, I think, what, 4 pounds every day, especially as females, we retain more water.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is. And there's two schools of thought on the weighing thing. Like you said, you're very into your routine. You get up, you get on the scale. It's part, you look at it 100% as data. It doesn't affect your
that's
day.
right.
And I've heard people, like Graham say, that, he didn't get on the scale for years, and that's the reason he became obese. So it depends on your personality, whether you can look at that number every day and say, that's just data, write it down, take your weekly average. Are you trending down? Great. If you're still in the loss phase, or are you staying the same? Great. If you're in the maintenance phase. But if you're like me, who is very emotionally tied to that number, then maybe you ought to think about throwing the scale away for a while and
Right.
just relying on your honesty pants and a measuring tape, or just overall how you feel and how your clothes are fitting. It's a great form of measurement. So either way, whatever works for your life,
Right.
you have to make this work for your life. And
And like I
yeah,
said, I try to tell people that, like, I don't believe that the scale is the end all be all measure. I mean, I don't trust it at all. Like I said, 2 bottles of water on the scale, two
yeah.
pounds,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a couple trips to the bathroom, guys.
Yeah.
But that's one area where I'm not free yet. I get up and I get on the scale.
And you might not ever be free of it. You might, excuse me, you might just think, this is the way, this is part of my habit, it's part of my life, and this is how I am holding myself accountable every day.
Right.
Because you
But
understand that number isn't, like you said, the end all be all of what your story and what your journey looks like. So yeah, I mean, the scale is one of those touchy subjects, and you just really have to find out what works for you if you're just starting out. So yeah, so I want to talk real quick before we end about non-scale victories, because I love talking about this. Have you had any, and would you mind sharing what they were?
Well, I feel like just, everyday life is a non-scale victory now. I'm a different person. I'm a different person than I was 3.5 years ago. And I said fasting fixes all kind of things you didn't know were wrong. Like the emotional eating and all those kind of things. I value myself and how I feel. I value my health.
Yeah.
Not I said everybody wants to look good. Okay. You get to my age, you want to feel good. Like if I have 20 more years to work, I have got to take care of this body pod, or I'm not going to make it 20 more
Right.
years. And but I sleep great. All my friends this age are jealous of how well I sleep, and it's fingers crossed because even with that, I have about one night a month where I feel like, oh, I was kind of awake all night, and I know that's
Mm.
hormones.
Yeah.
I know there's all kind of fun things to come, but I really think fasting gives us the best, chance at getting through it with minimal issues. But I sleep good. I do think that my skin is better. I was completely lactose intolerant for years and years. I could not eat cheese. I could not eat pizza. It really was debilitating. Like if I did, the family's like, we're going to eat pizza. And I'm like, I'm going to do okay. A nightmare. Fasting reverse lactose intolerance. I can eat actually, I eat a lot of dairy, probably more than I should. I can do whole milk. I can do all the whole fat cheese, mozzarella. Mozzarella was my arch nemesis.
Yeah.
Um, but ice cream, none of those things affect me. I would say overall, my gut health is fantastic. I
Yeah.
almost never have a stomach upset of any kind. And that's so strange. I have two kids who are battling one IBS, one has Crohn's, and
Oh.
Crohn's is the devil. It's
Oh, I
a
know.
terrible thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we are doing all the things, like removing all the things. He's
Mm.
22 years old. It's
Oh
it's
gosh.
ridiculous. But,
Yeah.
he's trying to do no gluten, no dairy, do whole foods, all the things. We found supplements and whatever, but we just can't seem to
Mm,
solve this right now.
mm.
So, I feel bad when I say I almost never have a stomach ache, because
Yeah.
some people live with debilitating gut issues.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is because of the foods that I was fed as a kid. And I'm like, it really might be, but you have the power now to try to give yourself a healthy gut, feed it the things that it needs, and hopefully we'll figure that out. Um, Skin tags, I lost lots of skin tags, and that was one of those things you don't notice until you just notice they're
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
Um, but the biggest victory was I had the interstitial, I'm not sure how you say that, cystitis, which is
Mhm.
called chronic inflammation of the bladder. And
Oh.
that I lived with for about 10 years. And you have these recurring episodes where you feel like you have a urinary tract infection, all the symptoms, but no infection. So, like if they culture your
What?
urine, so an antibiotic will not help.
Mm.
They don't really have a cure, they don't really have a medicine. I have not had a flare since I've been fasting, not one. And
What?
so
That's insane.
And it's another one of those things where you don't realize until you realize,
Right. Yeah.
that it has to be fasting. That's the only difference. And we know that fasting helps inflammation,
Mm. Yeah, we do.
and that was just it's just a I mean, I even had the biopsy where they said, just the lining of your bladder is just inflamed, and we don't have a medication to give you.
Mm.
So, that is a miracle. Like, that's enough. If I didn't lose a pound, that is enough,
Right.
quality of
Like,
life.
right. Your quality of life was so completely changed at that point that you were like, screw it. If I never even lose a pound, this is the way I want to be and live because I
Right.
feel so much better. And
Yeah.
I can, yeah, I hear that all the time. All the time I hear that. So it's just a testament to how amazing and wonderful this lifestyle is for your health and for your overall longevity. So I will conclude with one question that I always love to ask, and really it's out there to anyone who's listening who is contemplating to start an intermittent fasting lifestyle, but they're unsure, they're skeptical, they think it's crazy. I thought all those things. What do you
Right, I
say
do
to that
too.
person?
Well, obviously, I know and we know from Jen's groups hundreds of thousands of success stories. Hundreds of thousands of people who have changed their life. And so my advice would be give it a fair shot. And when I say that, educate yourself first and foremost. Read Jen's book, Fast Feast Repeat. I consider it the Bible of fasting. Follow
Totally.
Jason Fung. If you are into science, if you're that kind of person who needs, and I do, I read all of Jason Fung's stuff too. If you need the scientific explanation, follow Dr. Jason Fung,
Hmm.
but educate yourself and start out with the mindset that you are going to give this X amount of time to change your life, not to see weight loss on the scale or, not to be in a different size clothes, but to see how you feel. And I really believe if you do that, clean fast for long enough that your body adapts, that you will feel so good that you won't want to go back. That,
Totally.
that's my thoughts.
That's such amazing advice, and I feel like when somebody hears that, they want to know, well, how long, April? How long is it going to take for me to lose weight? How
And we don't
long?
know. We
Girl,
don't know.
gentlemen, we don't know. We don't know, girls. Listen, it's different for everybody. Everybody is different. That means we're all going to lose weight at a different rate. And so when you say to give yourself a fighting chance, give yourself a chance, a
Yes.
real chance, not 2 months. I think that's a
No.
crappy chance. What do
Right.
you think a good chance is?
I think 6 months to a year that you're going to
Yeah.
commit to a lifestyle. And when I
Mm-hmm.
say commit to a lifestyle, every day will not be perfect, but every tomorrow is a new fast and a new feast. And that's the way I live this lifestyle. Is like whatever happened today, okay, now I got a clean slate. I'm going to do a new fast and I'm going to do a new feast, and I just give it my best shot every day. And sometimes that's not great, and that's
But
okay. Like I said, my weekends they get sideways, balance.
that's life.
But I think in a year you will be a completely different person.
You will. I always say to everyone, my clients, anyone, my friends, to the world, give yourself a year. At least, like 6 months is good too, but a year is what you'll be unrecognizable. You'll
Yeah.
be unrecognizable, and in a good way, in a fantastic way. You
Yes.
won't even know who the heck you are anymore, but in a most fabulous way you've ever seen in your life. So April, thank you
That is
so
the
much
truth.
for sharing your fasting story and sharing all your knowledge, because I really like having a seasoned faster on who we can just sit here and talk about all of these things and really just hopefully inspire somebody to start today and change your life. Just start now.
Well, yes. Thank you for having me. I love to talk fasting. I just love to talk. I'm sure
I
you
do
can
too.
tell.
That's why I'm sitting right here. That's why I do what I do. So thanks again, and go enjoy your day. And thank you 100%.
Thanks.
Thanks for being a part of my community too.
No, no problem. I love your community. Keep doing it. Keep doing it.
Thanks, girl. All right.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.